Okay. Very good. It's approved. Okay. Welcome, Tom, if you're here, and welcome, Jim. We'll go ahead and do the others when we get to them. So let's get started with that. And we don't have any committee reports this month, no clean schools, no superintendent's recognitions, no recognition of visitors or requests to appear before the board. So moving on down, we'll go to departmental reports. And I can't pull that up on my screen. Let's see. Here we go. Jennifer, are you going to give us a yearly recap from Guy Rogers?
He attached a memo to the board. Okay. It's pretty, it's interesting. So I'd like y'all to go ahead and read the whole thing when you, you know, maybe when you get home. So we attached this late last night. I apologize for the delay. So it's all good right now, but as of our coronavirus, we don't know how it's going to end up in the next few months, but we had a good, but the 2020 digest, he said, has increased 15%.
Very good.
$308 million in fair market value to the digest. So that's good.
Wonderful. Okay. That's what we will do. Does anybody have any questions of Jennifer about this while she's here? We'll just read it, and if we have questions, we'll get back to you. Okay, Dr. Ken Green, Support Services Report.
Yes, ma'am. We covered everything during the work session. I have nothing new for tonight.
Okay, great. We're back to Ms. Houston and the financial report.
All right, our March sales tax came in at $964,000. I'm not too upset about that number because if you look back in the years, March is usually a smaller month for us. February has less, it's really February sales tax. So February has less days and people are recuperating from their December spending, I believe. So right now, March, it's not upsetting me too much, but we'll just see how the future goes for our sales tax.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry, y'all can't see all this. Okay, so for our
hold on just a second, Jen.
Okay.
The April,
April, yes.
Hey, Lynn, I think we lost Lisa.
Uh-oh.
She disappeared from my screen.
on that.
Can anybody else see her?
Something to do it with here, shouldn't it? Control what?
Control and scroll it in. Just scroll it on your mouth.
Yeah. Well, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. All right, which page you need?
We can just show them the one and then we'll scroll down to 2. So just 1 was our sales tax.
Okay. That one. Oh, you stopped sharing me.
Yeah.
Debbie's not there either. There it goes.
There you go. Okay, well, y'all have this attached to yours that you can see. So our sales tax was the one before, but this is our fund balance for March 31st is $34 million. Our total revenues year to date is at 86% of budget. total expenditures year to date is at 71%. And I believe we should be at 75% of the year. So we always want our expenses to be lower than the blue line and our revenues to be higher. And that's what we still have. So that's good news.
That's great news.
That's all I have. You got the detail attached to it also if you want to look at that, and I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Anybody have questions?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we'll just move right along then.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Next we have Joe Perno.
Everybody, I don't have anything to add to what we discussed in the work session.
Okay, great. We'll move along to Dr. Moten. Is she with us?
She doesn't have anything new. I think her video
Okay.
or audio has been kind of squirrely, so.
Okay, that's fine. And we don't have any personnel tonight to discuss, is that right?
That is correct.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Well, we will move right along to the consent agenda. And at this point, we're going to pull the Chromebooks with John St. Clair, which I think is number
Number 1 under new business.
1 under new business.
Need to just drop it. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to drop that. I need a motion to drop that.
I make a motion.
Okay, I heard Stephanie. And who seconded?
Bill, I think.
Okay, Bill. All right. So we're going to remove that from the agenda. And then the other thing we need to do on the consent agenda is to take the insurance bid off the consent agenda and vote on it separately.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Did we get that? All those in favor, raise your right hand. We're good. Okay. All right. So let's see where we are. This is a consent agenda. The annual code of conduct review. Superintendent recommends removing the 2020-2021 student code of conduct from the table and approving said changes and revisions. Stop me if you have any questions about this or if you want to talk about it. Number 2 is audio enhancement, data cabling. The superintendent recommends awarding the RFP for data cabling to support audio enhancements installations to second low bid respondent Tech Optics of Winder, Georgia, in the amount of $109,555.16. The third item on the consent agenda is the design services for the new elementary school. The superintendent recommends approval of Cunningham, Foreham, Matthews, and Moore to perform design work on a new elementary school. The fourth item is design services for the second phase of the Barrow Arts and Science Academy. Superintendent recommends approval of Cunningham, Foreham, Matthews, and Moore to perform design work on the second phase of BASA. And the fifth item is the one that we are gonna talk about later. Sixth item is the BASA collaborative area furniture. Superintendent recommends awarding the turnkey job for the collaborative area furnishings to Georgia Specialty Equipment. And the seventh item is the Barrow Arts and Sciences Academy Startup Media Collection. Superintendent recommends purchasing a startup media collection for Barrow Arts and Sciences Academy from Follett School Solutions Incorporated. The eighth item on the consent agenda is Statham Elementary furniture bid. The superintendent recommends approving the new bid for 1,545 student chairs for Statham Elementary School to Sheffield School Supply, and to use this bid and the prior bid approved on March 3rd, 2020 for other student and teacher furniture for growth and replacement up to $50,000 out of the general fund. Those are the items on the consent agenda. I need a motion to accept those items in the school superintendent's recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Beverly, I think made the motion, and was that Lisa who seconded or Stephanie?
Debbie.
Debbie. Okay. All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand.
Hello.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm on the other end of the table.
Okay. That's right. All right, let's see. Moving on out the agenda going forward, can we scroll down a little bit further on that, Dr. Mack?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jumping.
Okay. So there you go. So the only thing now it looks like we need to talk about is Tom Owens and Jim.
Jim Woodward are here with us.
Are you there? I know they're there. Yeah, go ahead. We'll just turn it over to them.
Okay. Jim, why don't I start and then you can sort of talk about what the action the board's going to be asked to take tonight. But
Okay, that sounds good.
I'm going to just give you a brief update on the bond sale. You may remember we first discussed we discussed it for a long time, but we discussed going forward back on February 25th, which was your work session meeting. Our plan at that time was to put the bonds out into the market on the 23rd and bring the results back to you on March 31st. But between February 25th and March 23rd, we saw interest rates go up by about 170, well, I say about, by 179 basis points, which is a little more than 1 3/4% higher. So on the 23rd, Dr. McMichael, Jennifer Houston, and Ms. Stevens and I discussed, we just decided it was not we really had a market that wasn't functioning. And what we didn't want to do was to put your bonds out into a less than ideal market. So we delayed the bond sale with the idea that we would try to come back with the sale to occur today. Fortunately, since the 23rd, interest rates are back down by 152 basis points. So we've made sort of almost a complete round trip to where we started. The sale occurred at 10 o'clock this morning. Over that last month period, and really in that period where the market wasn't functioning well, we were seeing similar sales would go out and they would get one, maybe two offers to purchase. And oftentimes that sort of cover bid would be 20, 30, or 40 basis points higher than the initial one. Today, your issue had 12 offers to purchase, the entire bond issue. And all 12 were within about a 10 basis point spread of one another. So we had very tight bidding. We had a lot of participants. Those are the things we want to see. The bond arbitrage yield, which is a rate that gets reported up to the IRS as your cost of funds, is a 180. So that's very much in line with where we thought we would be back on the 25th of February. After cost of issuance and a deposit to the capitalized interest fund, that results in a construction fund deposit of just over $43 million for the school district. And this is where sort of the conservative, more long-term approach that we've had towards your bond issues is really going to pay off. When we look at your sales tax and compare it to the payments after we add these bonds, the sales tax through March has collected $12.7 million in round numbers for the last 12 months. And we certainly expect that to go down. But for the next 2 years, your bond payments are going to be each year right about $8 million. So you've got a cushion of about $4.7 million sales tax as compared to what you need to pay your bonds. So, to further that point, your sales tax could decline by about 36%, and we would still be okay covering your bond payments. Starting in year 2023, your bond payments are going to go up to about $9.5 million. And so, again, we could see about a 25% decline in the sales tax and no recovery between now and then, and you would still be okay in terms of the bonds being paid fully from the sales tax. And of course, you have other uses for sales tax, so we certainly hope that those the sales tax doesn't decline quite that bit, but you have quite the margin of safety in terms of what it would take to pay your bonds. I think that's about it. We should probably mention there was originally a refinance component to this bond issue, about a $4 million refinance, primarily due to the judicial emergency. Those bonds have not been able to have the appropriate court hearings to be issued. We just don't know exactly if we're going to be able to get the appropriate audiences. We also, in this market, wanted to make the new money, as we call them, bonds, as clean as possible. So we just pulled that piece out. We'll try to come back and get it at a later date. But the primary purpose of the bond sale, the new money to fund your ongoing construction went very, very well. So I'm just ecstatic with how that went off today, particularly given the last month and the environment we've been in.
Great. Anybody have any questions? Okay, Jim, did you want to say something?
Oh, sure. So, kind of follow up on what Tom was saying. This is a follow-up supplemental resolution to the resolution that was approved by the board on March 3rd. So basically, on March 3rd, you authorized us to move forward with issuing the bonds with certain parameters, not to exceed principal amount, interest rates, and other terms. And so from that date, we went out to the market, as Tom mentioned this morning, and all this resolution does, it supplements the original resolution and approves the final terms, which are all within the parameters that were approved earlier. And so what we need today is just a motion to approve the supplemental resolution as presented.
Great. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right, at this point, I need a motion to approve the supplemental resolution as presented, and I'll need a second.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, I heard Stephanie second, and I think, but I don't know who made the motion.
Made
I
the
think
motion.
Stephanie made the motion.
Second.
I made the second. Debbie.
Okay, Stephanie made the motion and Debbie made the second. Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, great. Okay, moving right along. Now we need to go back to the insurance bid, I believe. Thank you, Jim and Tom. We appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for watching that. That's awesome. Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer, you've got the insurance bid, Houston?
Sure. So I just wanted to, in the summary section of the insurance bid, I had said that we met with the 3 lowest bids. We had only met with the 2 lowest bids. We still want to go with J. Smith Lanier. We decided not to go with self-insured with Gallagher. So J. Smith Lanier was the lowest price of the workers' compensation insurance. So that's just one little correction there. And I just wanted y'all to be aware of that before you voted. The recommendations still stand though.
Okay. So the superintendent is still recommending we award the liability insurance bid to Georgia School Boards Association and awarding the workers' comp insurance to J. Smith Lanier. The only difference here is that we had said that we had we looked at the 3 lowest bids, but it's really the 2 lowest bids. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I need a motion to accept the insurance bids that the superintendent recommends.
So moved.
Beverly Kelly. I heard Stephanie, I believe, second that. Okay. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, great, unanimous, very good. All right, have we covered everything? I know I jumped around a little bit on that and I apologize. I'm trying to look at all of you and read and keep up, and it's just
It's
hard.
Chris and Jennifer, I have a question. I don't know if you've looked at this, but what kind of savings are we going to see expense-wise from having our buildings basically closed? And have we looked at that over the next couple of months? Or
Yeah, I've been wondering the same thing, Bill. It's a great question.
Joe might be able to talk about that a little bit more, because basically we still have our biggest expense, payroll. So that is still an expense, and our people are still working. So that's about 85% of our budget. However, the electricity, some of the supplies, well, maybe not supplies, because we've had to do a lot of printing and a lot of paper.
Right. Yeah.
So it would just probably be the electricity portion of it. And Joe, can you help me out and tell me about, we can get you the exact numbers of how much we pay a month and how much we're going to save.
yeah, I don't mean to put you on the spot. I just wondered if we had looked at that.
We're definitely seeing some, because we don't have the air conditioning running except in a few areas where the custodians are working. And of course, we have had some folks in the buildings, just very minimal, but it's not completely shut down because we have custodial. Principals have been in and out, a few teachers here and there getting work for students, that type of thing. But we should see a pretty, compared to the budget, it's a small percent, like Jennifer was saying, we're, 80 some odd percent is still going out in payroll, but
Yeah.
we should be seeing some. Joe, if you're still there, yeah.
I can give you all an idea, but not this evening, but I can
Sure.
get some numbers together and let you know. I mean, we'll save a little bit on, we've cut back on trash pickup and recycling and that sort of thing. And we'll save a little bit, of course, on energy usage. We've raised our set points in the building. But these are pretty temperate months, you get these 60, 70-degree days, and so this is a time of year normally we save some money anyway on that sort of thing. But I'll get some numbers together and get an email out to everybody.
Bill, I hope we're saving money on the water bill.
Should be.
Yes, ma'am.
I would assume we'd be saving some money on fuel for the buses too.
Fuel.
That would be a larger piece.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we are running some buses to deliver food, but nowhere near what we've been doing. And of course, gas prices are down too, so that doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Helps us there, hurts us on SPOS.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna see a decrease in the spots.
Yeah, you are.
Mhm.
I do want y'all to be aware that there are some things that were planned that we couldn't do and that we would like to do next year. In fact, Dr. Green had mentioned one today. So there might be, with the budget, we may say, we didn't do this year, but we'd like you to roll that money over for next year. So we'll have some conversations about what exactly all that is, and then how much it's going to cost, and if we decide to do that type of thing.
Jennifer, make me feel better and tell me how much money we have in savings right now.
$34 million. We might even get written up in our audit because we have done, the board and Dr. McMichael have been great stewards of the taxpayers' money over the past 4 years. And it is, I'm breathing easy right now going into the unknown because we do have some padding there.
Yeah.
I'd rather be written up for that than the opposite.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I'll take that kind of finding every day. That doesn't bother me.
Absolutely.
Well, especially.
Great. All right. Have I missed anything? We know what the next meeting dates are. On
Yep.
4/14, we'll have our, that's today. We had our board meeting. On 4/28, we'll have our work session. And then on May 5th, we'll have our regular board meeting, and 5/26 will be the work session. So if y'all want to make sure your calendars are marked for that. I think and as far as authorization for committees to meet, we are going to, and I think y'all, those of you who are on the Teacher of the Year committee, saw the email that we're going to do that. We're just going to move it till August. We'll actually probably read the packets in July, and then in August do the school visits. I think it's vital that we do the visits and the personal interviews before we make a decision about who the Teacher of the Year will be. So we'll just kind of move that forward and go from there.
Lynn, with the lunch
Yes.
compensation, the lunch school committee, I'm going to be reaching out to Dr. McMichael and just asking some questions about that, about how it looked kind of when we finished the school year. And then I'll send out an email to you and Dr. Huff and Debbie, just to kind of let you guys know sort of what's going on there so that we'll know what to expect, rolling into the next year, kind of where we ended up with the deficits and that kind of thing. Hopefully, not being in school will help with that a little bit too. So
Could have helped. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. That'll be great. We'll look forward
Sounds
to
good.
getting that.
yeah, I'll send it out to you as soon as Dr. McMichael and I talk about it.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
That sounds great. All right. Anything else coming before the board? Any questions, comments, concerns, issues? All right. Well, guess what? At this point, we're going to zoom out of this. We stand adjourned till our next meeting. Thank you so much for being here.
Everybody
safe.
take care.
Y'all be safe.
Thank y'all so
You too.
much.
All right.
How do I